Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick. In this video we're going to be comparing the Hoka Mach 5 and the New Balance Rebel V3. So I wanted to do this video because I think these are the two best non-plated daily trainers on the market. They're both very lightweight shoes, they're versatile and enjoyable to use for a range of runs, and they come in a bit cheaper than some of our top all-rounder shoes that we like, things like the Endorphin Speed 3 and Asics Magic Speed 2, which do use plates. The New Balance is £130 in the UK and $130 in the US. The Hoka is £130 in the UK and $140 in the US. New Balance is the slightly lighter shoe. It weighs 216 grams or 7.6 ounces, but the Mach 5 is also pretty lightweight. It's 229 grams or 8.1 ounces. That's in my UK size 9 for both shoes. The New Balance Rebel V3 has a 6mm drop from heel to toe, and the Mach 5 has a 5mm drop from heel to toe, and neither have super high stacks, both coming in just under 30mm as far as I can tell. New Balance hasn't given the official stats on the Rebel V3. So the Rebel V3 has a fuel cell midsole, which is a nitrogen infused foam. It's very soft and bouncy. It's got a very lightweight mesh upper, though it is a little bit thicker than the upper on the Rebel V2 to create a bit more durability there, and you've got a little bit of padding around the heel there, but in general the upper is just a nice lightweight affair to keep the shoe's overall weight down. And the same is true of the outsole really. You have got fairly good coverage on the forefoot there and two strips at the back, but it's really not a very thick layer of foam, and it sits almost flush against that exposed foam in the midsoles. So although grip hasn't really been a problem at all with this shoe, you might well see a bit of wearing on that exposed foam in particular over time. The key update to the Rebel V3 compared to the V2 is that it's got a slightly higher stack height in the midsole, and it's also got a slightly wider base in the forefoot. So the Mach 5 also has a nice lightweight mesh upper with a little bit of padding around the heel, and Hoka's extended heel tab there that makes it quite easy to slip your foot into. You've got a dual density midsole with a top layer of Hoka's Pro Fly Plus foam, which is a nice responsive but pretty soft foam, and then the bottom layer is made from rubberized EVA, so that's a firmer feeling. So you sink into the softer foam on top, hit the firmer stuff underneath and bounce on your way. You've also got a quite distinctive rocker profile with the Mach 5, which is pretty common across Hoka's range, and that rubberized EVA layer is also the outsole of the shoe. There's no extra rubber on the outsole there. It's quite a well-known feature of the Mach 5. It probably helps with the ride feel of the shoe, but it does mean you're going to get a bit more wearing there, as that is essentially all exposed foam, even if it is a harder EVA than the exposed foam on the Rebel V3. On the fit of the two shoes, the Rebel V3 is a pretty small, pretty tight-fitting shoe. I'm okay in my normal size, but I would like a little bit more room there, and in general I'd say going half a size up is the way to go with the Rebel V3, and it's got a good fit around the midfoot and heel though, no concerns there. And then on the Mach 5, it fits me really nicely true to size, but I have quite a narrow foot. I know some people have trouble with the width of Hoka's toe boxes in particular, cramping the toes, but I've had no concerns there. It's fit me very nicely true to size. So the Mach 5 and Rebel V3 are among my favourite daily trainers, and it is nice that both of them aren't using a plate. They've used a lot of modern technologies taken from the kind of shoe revolution we've gone through recently, with nice bouncy foams in the Rebel V3 and this dual density midsole and a rocker in the Mach 5, but really the standout feature of both of them is that they're nice, lightweight, comfortable shoes that are versatile enough to handle a range of daily training. Mach 5 was a shoe I tested first of these two, and like the Mach 4, I was a huge fan of it straight out of the box. It's got a very smooth and natural feel to the ride. You slip it on, and whatever pace you're going at, it just disappears on the foot. You just roll along, and you just kind of forget the shoe's even there, because it is very lightweight. It's got a very well designed rocker geometry, and you can just tick along. And as you start to up the pace, the shoe maybe gives you a little bit more back, but again, you're not really thinking about the shoe a lot. Even when you're running hard in it, it just helps you cruise along or speed along, depending on what you want to do that day. It is light enough to do short reps, but I think what it really excels at probably is your longer runs. I think it's a really comfortable long distance running shoe, and you can do those long distance runs at quite a fast pace as well. I think this is one of the options that always comes to mind for me when people ask, what would you race a marathon in now if you can't use carbon plate shoes? And this is a really good option because it is lightweight, it is fast, it just gets on with the job, and it just feels comfortable over those long distances. Probably loses a little bit to the Rebel V3 when it comes to all-out speed over short, snappy reps, because that really is something that the Rebel V3 does really well. You've got that Very springy, noticeable fuel cell midsole. This is a much more noticeable shoe than the Mach 5, but not in a bad way. Like, it's very fun to run in the Rebel V3, and it's enjoyable to notice it because you've got that really flexible feel, plenty of ground contact, and you are being punched along by that fuel cell foam, and it really is a fun shoe to run in, and especially when you are pushing the pace in it. I think it's doesn't feel as cushioned and comfortable underfoot as the Mach 5, and that's so when it comes to longer runs, whether they're easy or especially actually when you're pushing at faster paces, the Rebel V3 doesn't feel quite as comfortable and cushy as the Mach 5. I think you're getting a bit more from the foam. I think fuel cell is a better foam than the ones that Hoka's got in the midsole of the Mach 5, but that rocker geometry in the Mach 5 just means you kind of roll along, just kissing the ground really nicely, whereas with the Rebel you're getting a bit more impact and you're getting a bit more back from the foam as a result, but it does mean it loses a little bit of comfort for me, and especially in just all-out easy runs, sometimes I'd find it wasn't quite enough shoe compared to what you get from the Mach 5. So I've tested both across a range of runs, and they both do all those runs pretty well, but they certainly have different strengths, I'd say. The Rebel is lighter, a bit more fun, great for your shorter runs, and especially short, fast runs, whereas the Mach 5 is a bit more of a cruiser, just lace it up, forget about it, and you can roll through pretty much any kind of run. And then it's particularly good for longer runs, especially progression runs where you just up the pace, throughout the course of 10 or 15, 20 miles. It really does shine on that kind of run, but both really can handle a nice range of training. Say concern with both will be durability, not just the outsoles. Obviously you've got this exposed outsole here and this fairly minimal rubber here, but in general they're not the highest stack shoe, and I think you'll beat up the foam a little bit in them when using them a lot. So looking at them as daily trainers, you will find options out there with high stacks, big thick outsoles that will last you 400, 500 miles, 800 kilometers. Whereas these, I think you're probably looking at more like 300 miles, 500 kilometers for them at their absolute best. You can still use them for long times as well. It really depends on how quick you wear through shoes, but I don't think it's a big distinction between the two. I think both of them aren't going to be the most durable shoes, but you're going to enjoy them a lot while you are running in them. So these are both really good shoes, and I would have no problem at all recommending either of them to anyone who came my way and asked about non-plated daily trainers. When choosing between them, it really comes down to the type of runner you are and your preference in ride feel. So I prefer a rocket ride generally, and I usually am marathon training, and during that most of my daily runs will start to edge up towards an hour as a minimum once I hit my stride in training, and for that reason I prefer the Hoka Mach 5 because it's got that very smooth, relaxing ride. It's more comfortable when you're doing those longer distance runs, and it's especially good for longer hard efforts. So all in all, it's a shoe that I really feel comfortable pulling on for anything, and I know I'm not going to have any real discomfort, and I know it's going to be light enough and fast enough to run in when I want to go fast, but it's also going to protect the legs well on those longer easy runs. The Rebel V3 is a bouncier ride, a more explosive ride, a bit more fun ride, I'd say, but it does lack a little bit of that cushioning. I think it'd be more suited to people who not only like a bouncy ride, but are mostly hitting out for around 5 or 10k on your daily training. It can go longer than that, obviously, and I have taken longer than that and enjoyed it, but I think that's where it really excels compared to the Mach 5. And certainly people who are doing short, sharp sessions, speed sessions during their daily training, I think the Rebel V3 is better at that than the Mach 5. But again, like I keep saying, both of them are pretty good at a bit of everything. So yeah, it really does come down to your idea of what a versatile shoe can do. If that's just a case of doing lots of different short runs at different speeds, Rebel V3 does a really good job of that. But if you want something that can go longer and be comfortable on long runs in particular, the Mach 5 does a better job of that. But both of them do a great job pretty much everything. Good shoes, check them out. So that's our comparison of the Hoka Mach 5 and the New Balance Rebel V3. Do you own these shoes? Do you like both of them? Do you dislike one of them? Please let us know in the comments below. Pick out your favourite of the two, or if there's another shoe that you consider to be better than both in this category, let us know that as well. Please do like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.